On the unforgiving battlefield of Pokrovsk, the Skela 425 Skala combat drone unit once again demonstrated its deadly aerial dominance. From 71 meters above the muddy, grassy terrain, the Skela drone glided like a hunting hawk across the cloudy Pokrovsk sky. The control screen displayed a dramatic scene, a river flowing calmly on the left side, while a dirt road and thickets provided temporary cover for Russian troops. Suddenly, the automatic detection system locked onto a target, a group of enemy soldiers moving quickly along the roadside, surrounded by a light combat vehicle, possibly a logistics truck or troop carrier. On the dirt track near the water, red squares and Russian flag icons instantly appeared on the screen, marking 6 or 7 Russian targets and 1 vehicle. The Russian soldiers panicked and ran for cover among the trees and bushes, but there was nowhere to hide, and the drone flew directly overhead. Within seconds, the first explosion shook the air. Dust and smoke billowed high, leaving scorched marks on the ground. The deafening sound of the explosion undoubtedly sent the remaining enemy troops running in disarray. The attack destroyed at least 1 vehicle and several personnel, proving that Russian forces were no longer safe from the prying eyes of Ukrainian drones. The darkness of night enveloped Pokrovsk, and the screen switched to a dramatic and aggressive green and white thermal/night vision mode. The drone was now directly above a narrow dirt track that cut through the grassy area and the water's edge. A Russian military vehicle, possibly an ATV, was clearly visible driving in the center of the track, a precision crosshair appearing on the screen, followed by the number 200, indicating the ideal range for the attack. The drone dived at high speed, and a second explosion occurred directly in the center of the vehicle, a white fireball engulfing the entire area. The vehicle was destroyed, and any personnel who might have been on the ATV or nearby were nowhere to be seen. The open terrain of Pokrovsk had once again become a graveyard for Russian equipment, proving that enemy logistics were increasingly threatened in this sector. The Skela unit managed to record at least several precision strikes that destroyed Russian infantry personnel, combat vehicles, and logistics in the Pokrovsk sector. Each attack was executed with the utmost professionalism, automatic detection, rapid approach, and precise detonation, leaving the enemy in utter defeat. Ukraine's Skela forces continued to dominate the skies, while Russia lost more and more lives and equipment in increasingly confined spaces. On April 19th, Ukrainian Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrskyi reported on Facebook that Russia's intensified efforts to capture Chasiv Yar in Donetsk Oblast, west of Bakhmut, as the Russian military leadership set a deadline for its troops to seize the city by May 9th, Russia's date for VE Day. According to Syrskyi, the Russian military is focusing its efforts on breaking through the Ukrainian military's defenses west of Bakhmut, gaining access to the Seversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal, capturing Chasiv Yar, and creating conditions for further advancement to the Kramatorsk metropolitan area, the largest Ukrainian-controlled cluster of cities and towns in Donetsk Oblast. Meanwhile, the commander added that the Russian attacks intensified after the Russian top brass set a deadline for the invasion forces to capture Chasiv Yar by the so-called Victory Day, the Russian version of Victory in Europe Day, but celebrated a day later than VE Day. Commander Syrskyi says Ukraine has significantly reinforced its brigades with additional ammunition, drones, and electronic warfare equipment to bolster defenses and respond to enemy actions in the Chasiv Yar direction. Following his visit to the Bakhmut sector, Syrskyi said, Zelenskyy claims that efforts continue to streamline management, eliminate redundancies, and redirect freed-up resources to support combat units and subdivisions. A day earlier, Zelenskyy reported that the situation on the Eastern Front has significantly escalated, with Russian forces intensifying their offensive actions in the Lyman and Bakhmut directions. Additionally, in the Pokrovsk direction, they are attempting to break through defenses using dozens of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles. According to the Ukrainian General Staff's situation update on the morning of April 17th, on the Bakhmut axis on the previous day, Ukrainian soldiers repelled 36 attacks near Billowed in Luhansk Oblast and Verkno-Kamyanska, Vyimka, Spirna, Rozdalivka, Ivanivske, Novi, Opitna, Klishivka, and Andriivka in Donetsk Oblast. Regarding other sectors in eastern Luhansk and Donetsk Oblasts, the General Staff provided the following updates for the previous day. Kupiansk and Lyman axes. No Russian offensive operations were conducted. At the same time, in Avdiivka axis, Ukrainian forces repelled 9 enemy attacks near the settlements of Novokalinove, Novobakhmutivka, Berdichi, Tonenke, Pervomaiske, and Nevelske in Donetsk Oblast. Novopavlivka axis. Ukrainian defense forces continued to hold their positions against enemy advances near Hyorhivka, Novomikhailivka, and Urozhaine in Donetsk Oblast, with 22 attempts by the enemy to breach defenses. Orikhiv axis. 6 attacks were launched by Russian forces on Ukrainian positions near Staromayorske in Donetsk Oblast and northwest of Verbove in Zaporizhia Oblast. Outside Luhansk, Donetsk, and Zaporizhia Oblasts, along the Sivershchina and Slobozhanshchina axes, northern Ukraine, the Russians maintains its military presence near the Russian border and increases minefield density along Ukraine's state border. While on the Kherson axis, southern Ukraine, the enemy persists in its attempts to dislodge Ukrainian troops from their bridgeheads on the left bank of the Dnipro River, launching 3 unsuccessful attacks on April 13th, as per Ukraine's General Staff. In total, April 16th saw 76 tactical engagements across the entire front line, with enemy forces launching 1 missile, 109 airstrikes, and 115 MLRS attacks, targeting Ukrainian troop positions and various settlements. Airstrikes impacted areas in Sumy, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, and Zaporizhia Oblasts, affecting over 110 settlements across regions including Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Dnipropetrovsk, Kherson, and Mykolaiv Oblasts. Soon after, President Zelenskyy visited the outskirts of Chasiv Yar to personally deny past Russian claims of victory. Together with Zelenskyy, he met the Frontline command, awarding soldiers and declaring that Kupiansk remains Ukrainian. Overall, the importance of the battle for Chasiv Yar goes beyond the battlefield. Weeks earlier, Putin claimed that Chasiv Yar and even Pokrovsk had already fallen, calling on international journalists to visit and verify the Russian captures. Zelenskyy answered that bluff by going to Chasiv Yar himself, a mere 500 meters from where Russians claim they held full control, proving that the town remains under